Danny Swift Garcia, he speaks on it. The upcoming fight between Canelo. Payday. You'll want payday. I know that. Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. The boy Danny Swift, who fought Terence Crawford, at least in the amateurs, he has his say. And what he has to say may shock you. I don't know. In this video, I'm going to break it down, give you my thoughts per usual. Lego. So Danny Garcia, he did a brand new interview with Fight Hype. And I'm going to get straight to the quotes. He says, quote, if Terence Crawford pulls this off, you got to put him up there at top 3 of all time. That means if Crawford unified all 4 belts in 3 divisions, going up all those weight classes to beat Canelo, if he wins this fight, you got to put him in the top 3 of all time. But it's going to be a steep hill to climb. It is going to be tough. Now, right off rip, let me just intervene and say I disagree. You could say Terence Crawford is great. You could say it's a heck of an accomplishment, but I don't think this just automatically places you in all-time great top 3 status. Too many legends before him under different circumstances, different times where men were kind of tougher and 15 rounders and small gloves. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, to me, I'm not big on the historic conversations because there's changes and it's too much to incorporate, and I rather just respect the legends. So that's just my thought. There's no knock on Terence Crawford, but that's doing too much to say he's top 3 because we're talking about belts. Sure, accolades, milestone, right? He'll definitely be remembered in the history books for these things. No problem with that. But when you're saying like all-time great, come on. Like, we know that this new society of boxing is a business, and like the promoters and even the sanctioning bodies, they're trying to make coin, even though they say non-profit and all that. Everybody's kind of trying to, it's a lot of politics. So there's a lot of politics that allow for certain guys to make these decisions and get in position to achieve this, where there's other people that might be able to achieve similar feats, but they're just never given an opportunity. Like, for example, let's say Guillermo El Chicao Rigondeaux, somebody who I value their skill set, right? If Rigondeaux was given the opportunity to fight when he fought Nonito Donaire, all of the other top guys, he could very well have been undisputed. But the top guys outside of Nonito Donaire would not face him. So again, politics. More recently, you got David Benavidez. He's been calling out Canelo. He's been taking challenges other people don't want to fight, like Andrade, like David Morrell, like vicious fighters, Caleb Plant, and he keeps winning. Been calling out Canelo. Then he was a mandatory for Canelo. Can't get that. We know Canelo ducking. And then Bivol, he's the mandatory for Bivol's undisputed titles. Then Bivol's trying to rematch the guy he already fought twice, right? So David Benavidez would be able to possibly achieve some of these milestones if Canelo gave him a shot at 168. He could have possibly been undisputed. And then if Bivol, who's undisputed, gave him an opportunity, I think Benavidez could beat both of them. So again, if afforded the opportunity, Benavidez could be at least a 2X champion. And then future-wise, he's talking about fighting Zurdo Ramirez. He might be able to clear cruiserweight. You see what I'm saying? So this new game is different. Like, back in the day, you didn't see this because it wasn't doable like that. You have vicious competition. Imagine moving up from light heavyweight to heavyweight back in the 70s and 80s, where you had top heavyweights. You're not beating all those guys being a smaller guy. So I just had a rant. Moving on. So he's giving him props and saying if he could do it. But he says if he could do it, all praise to him, but I think it would be too much. That's a naturally bigger guy in Canelo. You're talking about a guy in Crawford who started at 135, fighting at 168. That is crazy. Once he starts getting hit with those bombs, he's going to be like, whoa. That's kind of funny. Crawford likes to fight, you know, and he says he can make it easy, but it's just something that he likes to fight. That's what gets him hit sometimes. He has to fight a perfect fight, whereas he has making no mistakes. He sticks to a game plan, uses his jab, uses his angle, and basically makes Canelo frustrated. Somehow absorb his punches and take that pressure. Danny Garcia, he says, me assessing Crawford's last performance when he moved up to 154 against Madrimov. I feel like Bud's power didn't carry up that much to 154, so I feel like 168, that's tough, right? Listen, Danny Garcia is saying everything that I've already said. I initially told you I don't like the fight. I don't respect it almost. You know what I mean? I don't like the rapid weight class jumping video game type of fight. Like, it just don't make sense. Well, I guess, let me say it like this. Like Jake Paul, he's not a career boxer. So him doing novelty fights, I don't so much care about that because, you know, you're going to get that. But a person like Crawford, there's dope fights for him at 154, maybe even at 47. Okay, maybe he can't make 47, but definitely at 154. And he's just holding up a belt and abandoning the belt for this opportunity. And it just really doesn't make sense. Now, I will say this. I have been like leaning towards Canelo from the inception of this fight. The only thing, Canelo looked horrible to me versus William Skull. So that kind of made me almost have to reassess. So I don't know. It's a fight that I feel like I shouldn't even have to be talking about because it shouldn't be happening. It's almost like a liger. You know what I mean? It's like, why did you mix a lion with a tiger? Like, why am I talking about a liger? And it's making me so mad because it feels like this shouldn't even be a fight I have to use my breath and energy to analyze. This fight is a liger. So for me, this liger fight, I don't really know who wins at this moment. I'm gonna have to keep thinking about it because Canelo looked horrible. So clearly there's some decay, but then you could argue William Skull fight super negative. He moved around a lot and he's bigger than Crawford and he looked pretty in shape and brolic and probably has at least some respectable power for the bigger guys. Canelo is not a huge guy at 168. So, you know, maybe that formula is why Canelo looks so bad, but it's hard to gauge because we've seen some slippage for a while now with Canelo. John Ryder fights, you know, I don't think he's got a knockout really since the Caleb Plant fight, stuff like that. So Canelo has been on the decline for sure for a minute, you know, and if he looks more similar to how he fought Munguia or Berlanga, I think that's definitely enough to beat a smaller Crawford. But the Canelo that showed up versus William Skull, he looked lazy. He looked like, you know, Father Time was whooping his ass. So that version, Crawford is too talented and dynamic. I think Crawford could beat that version. So it is really, really kind of a hard fight for me because it's a fight that shouldn't be happening, as I keep mentioning. And there are some variables. You know, you could say, oh, Canelo didn't look great versus William Skull, but then Terence Crawford struggled at 54 with Madrimov, who got bodied by Virgil Ortiz even worse right after that. So Crawford himself didn't look as, I think he still looked sharper than Canelo did with William Skull because Canelo was just lazy and lethargic, didn't want to chase Skull. You know, Crawford was still trying and he was throwing some sharp but ultimately it didn't look like his power was the same as the past divisions. So now you're gonna move up 14 more pounds with that power hitting foe. I don't know, man.